when we are joining this cohort, what do we intend to achieve? Like, what do we want to take out of this cohort? Coming to Rockitech, and being part of this cohort, what is your goal? What would you like to achieve?
Yeah, so basically, this
Yeah.
session is a larger session. It's
Oh, okay.
yeah, even more than those people that are on the in the product team. So
Okay. Okay. So, thank you, Mr. Zulu, for that clarification. So, basically, this makes it, more like a bigger pool for me. And I would like to say, how do you, what does success means to us, and how do you measure those success, which is really where I'm going. It could be in anything. It could be, personal life, jobs. If you are just joining the training, it could be, the training is just joining. If you are, a new, I mean, a part of new cohort, like this new cohort, it could be, about this cohort. How do you measure success, or what does success simply means to you? Because it, definitely, if you don't have what you want to achieve, it might be difficult to say, oh, so how do I then measure what I want to achieve? I mean, how do I measure if I achieved this? So what does success mean to us, and how do you measure this success? Because today's session is supposed to be, all about metrics. However, I would like to drive it home by talking to each and every one of us, and that is the way I learn. um, it's easy to just run through all the slides, talk about some of the metrics that we have, but if we are not able to bring it home, like relate it to us or to our different, to our different work environments, life, family, it might be a bit difficult to, understand this concept. So, what does success means to you? And how do you measure it? Please, let's make it interactive.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wale. You said we shouldn't raise our hand because
Yeah,
we are
yeah,
used to
please.
raising our hand before we talk here.
Yeah, feel free to just, take the mic.
All right, thank you. So, what success will mean to me is, let's say, after this cohort, or maybe before the cohort ends, I'm able to, secure a job in tech, and also I'm able to get people already in Rockitech working professionally. When I need help, they can support me so that I can sustain my job, because it's not just about getting the job. You can talk, you can get the job, right? But when you get the job, how are you able to sustain this job? Is it that you get a job 3 months later, you come back to say, oh, I lost my job because I didn't get the help? So success will mean that I will secure a job that I like, which of course I know that at least I'll be able to perform 50%. The remaining 50% have to like navigate, ask, and I will get the support whenever I reach out, be in paying the person to support me, or the person want to, okay, I just want to mentor you to succeed. Thank you so very much. You are muted. We can't hear you.
Thank you, Aisha. Really appreciate your contribution. So, basically, how do you then, measure that success? How do you measure it? Like when you are getting close to it, how do you measure it? What is going to be like pointers, that tells you that, oh, you are moving in the right direction? If you are willing to maybe share one or two.
Yeah. So how we measure success would be, maybe if I've already, maybe I got to the job and I'm working and my teams see like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And they are getting praises from my manager, say, oh wow, well done. For any little thing I do, like, hey, wow. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm doing well. I'm doing good. So I'll measure my success in that way. Yeah. But if it's the opposite, I'll know, of course, I don't know what I'm doing. I'll had my head.
Basically, what you've been able to, justify is that
Mm.
there is something to assess you with, and
Yeah.
there is this quadrant between doing well and not doing well.
Yeah.
And when you are doing well, you get that kind of praises.
Yeah.
So, which is, what we use. I mean, what metrics is all about, to be able to track, some level of performance, to compare and assess, in any environment that we belong, how we are really doing, what are we doing? How can we get better? How do we use some of the data that we have, to be able to see if we are moving in the right direction, or if there are, things that we, perhaps needs to improve. So, which is, what today's topic is all about. So, metrics, or let me bring it to Agile. Agile metrics is all about tracking data. It's all about, you know, having a quadrant to say, oh, this is what is going well, this is where we are going in the first place. And if we are going in that right direction, these are the data that is going to tell us that we are moving in the right direction. If we are struggling or there are things to improve, these are the data that we can track, you know, that can help us guide, whatever thing we are working on to where we want to take it to. So, because sometimes we struggle with it. Yeah, it's English, a lot of people say, oh, metrics, metrics. Once you hear metrics, think of data. And once you are thinking of data, start thinking of, um, um, tracking of some level of performance, so that you can compare what is working and what is not working. And in my own in my own experience, I've been able to, categorize, this into, four different phases. Majorly, we track a lot of metrics in Agile, but I've been able to, categorize them into four different categories. And I'm going to be using Aisha experience and some other people that are willing to, contribute to this, to guide us across these, categories of agile metrics. First of all, we talk about productivity. So there are metrics or data that help us to guide, that guide us if we are really productive, or we are maybe not productive. Likewise, there are metrics you could also, track that can help you to have an idea if you're having a stable team or if your teams are struggling. Likewise, some metrics are also there for you to be able to predict, because that's the essence of, what we are doing. When we talk about Agile, talk about metrics, we talk about, okay, how do we better what we've done yesterday? How do we continuously improve on what we are working on, which is the whole essence of Agile. And of course, you can't take quality out of it. So we are going to be talking, about these four categories. So let's take, for instance, all of us, coming into this session. I want to believe we are here to, rub mind and have a better understanding of what Agile metrics is all about. So that is our goal. So if things is not working in that direction, then we could say, oh, this thing is not working in this direction. That means we have where we are going, but then we have something we can use to weigh, to decide if we are really getting to that way we are going or not. Because we have an end goal that kind of help us, to channel our thinking, channel whatever thing that is happening during this session, to decide if this is really, going in the right direction. So I'm trying to just, let all of us know that even during this session, we could start tracking some metrics. We could start looking at some data to decide, oh, how is this, this source session is really going. So I'm going to move very quickly to data that we track, that help us to, some data that we track, some productivity um, data that we track during Agile. project delivery, or agile projects basically. So, and when we are talking about um productivity, some key metrics that we track that decide if we are being productive or not. We're going to be talking about velocity, burn down charts, cumulative flow diagram, cycle time and lead time. Now I'm going to try as much as possible to explain some of these. And please, if anybody is, happy to maybe just, shed a bit of light on what they think, velocity is, burn down chart is, cumulative flow diagram is, and cycle time and lead time, the mic is open in maybe, 10 seconds, so that we don't really waste our time. If you're happy to, shed a bit of light, trust me, there's no right or wrong answer. Feel free to, contribute to this. I'm just going to take it. I'm going to take it that maybe none of us, is willing to contribute, or perhaps we definitely have the understanding of everything we are talking about, and we could as well say, oh, this session is over, if I'm right.
Hi,
Hello?
good evening.
Good
Hello.
evening.
uh,
Oh,
I
sorry.
please, yeah, feel free to, shoot if you are
I
ready.
think I'll come again then. Somebody is talking already.
Yeah, Abby, you want to go first?
Yes. I just want to thank you for this opportunity. Yes, I want to go through few metrics we can use in that when it comes to agile way of working. When
Yeah.
it comes to your team development level, I think we use you can use flow metrics to see overall team performance, and we use what is the control chart to check for bottlenecks. And another one is Bonda chart, which show more the work. It shows works remaining against time, and cumulative chart is yeah. We use velocity. I forgot that one. We use velocity too to check which show the capacity, our commitment versus completed. We use KPIs, key performance, when it comes to performance. What is it called? Key performance indicator to
Indicator,
check
yeah.
all this. And then when it comes to stakeholder level, the metrics I use is feedback from stakeholders. Are we delivering value to them? And also, when it comes to that, I use effective communication. Are we transparent when it comes to our communication across to them? I think that's the few one I can pinpoint now at the moment. I'm sure I didn't cover everything. I think cycle time
Yeah.
is there, lead time is there. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Abby. And you know what? There are many metrics to track, like quite a number of them. So, and trust me, I won't be able to say these are all the metrics, because there are countless of them that you can track. Anything that could come to your mind to say, oh, how do I measure if this thing is going well or not? There are metrics for you. And they don't all they don't have to be in your ALM2. They don't have to be in your Jira. They don't have to be in your Azure DevOps. They don't have to be in any of these tools. It could be your personal metrics that you just feel, "Oh, this is how to measure, how this is going, how this is progressing." So thank you so much, Abby. David, do you want to go?
I
Oh,
just
hi.
quickly have this. Sorry, David. Sorry to cut in. I just quickly want to mention when you said apart from the metrics, you can use your team happiness too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you, Abby. David, you want to go?
Oh, hi. Good evening. Hi, everyone. Hi, Mr. Wale. Yeah, I did want to go. Yeah, but the lady before just now mentioned quite a lot. I wanted to have an attempt at the velocity. That basically, I just wanted to explain that your sprints, your different sprints. Maybe if your sprints are every two weeks, maybe if your sprints every 2 weeks, you measure your previous sprints. You use it to sort of predict the the future ones. That was what I was trying to attempt to contribute.
Okay, thank you so much, David.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. So all these metrics that Abby and David have been able to mention, it is easy, and that's what I usually struggle with in the past. It is easy to mix them up. It is easy to also forget them. But if you're able to categorize them to say, oh, how do I put this in buckets? We have these numbers of metrics, but how can I categorize them in such a way to, see where each of these might fit in? And that is the whole essence of having them, categorized into, productivity, stability, quality, and predictability. So when you talk about productivity, and I think Abby has touched base about this, I have just 4 metrics listed there, but trust me, it doesn't necessarily mean that these are just the 4 metrics that you can measure for productivity. There are many more, but I just want to sell the idea. I want people to have an understanding of where I'm coming from, and that's where I'm just going to be touching, these 4, just for us to have an idea of why do we have these 4 in productivity. Why do we have them in productivity? Why are they not in predictability? Why are they not in stability? Or why are they not in, to measure quality? So when you talk about productivity, you are trying to measure how your teams are productive. How are they doing this work? Um, I'm sure all of us in this, call agree that when we are talking about Agile, we definitely have something we are working on. We have a project we are working on. We have a product that we are working on. And when we have those products are divided into different iterations, which depending on the framework you are using, it could be sprints, you could just refer to them as iteration, just generic word. So, and when you have some of this work, which I want to believe you must have done your due diligence, have some of these things story points, based on the capacity of your team. How do you measure if your team are really productive? How do you measure if they are really doing the work? And that is the idea of the productivity metrics. So for instance, an instance of it is velocity charts. So when you look at the diagram that you have on your slide, or that I'm sure everybody can see my screen, you see where I say sprint 1, sprint 2, I put all these sprints together till we get to sprint 7. Then the story points ranges from 0 to 35. And you could see that the green bar is showing you the completed work, while the gray one is showing you the committed work. That's the commitment of the team. So if my team is committing, for instance, for our sprint 1, let's say our team is committing to 27 story points, and they are able to do 32 story points at the end of the sprint. That gives me an idea that, oh, we've been able to, kind of raise our productivity to this number of story points. When you go to sprint 2, you could see their commitment versus their completed. And we go all the way to that sprint 7. So what we are trying to do, or say basically from this chart, is to let you have an idea that what velocity chart is addressing is about looking at the commitment of the team versus the completed work that they've been able to do at the end of the sprint. And when you look at this chart, there are a lot of questions. You could ask, oh, why are they committed to 27, for instance, for sprint 1, and they are able to do 32? Where did the extra come from? There are a lot of questions, you could ask. And that is the essence of the metrics itself. That's the essence of the data you are tracking, because it's supposed to be conversation starter in some way. It's supposed to be what makes you ask some of these critical questions. When you look at sprint one, why do we complete more than we committed to? Where did those extra story, came from? The same thing with sprint two. Sprint three, there might not be so much question there because the commitment and the completed, they are kind of par. The same questions goes to sprint four. The sprint five doesn't look like we were able to do anything. Sprint six seems to be also okay. Sprint seven seems like, oh, we're able to do more than we committed to. So these are what metrics, these are, the productivity metrics to be precise. These are what, brings in some of these, critical questions, and that gives you an idea that, oh, if my team is able to deliver this within this period and they are struggling within this period, what could have happened? Or, what is happening? How can I help them better? How can I help them to do better? How can I make them to be, more stable? How can we be more predictable? So, but for the essence of the time, is anybody happy to maybe explain why we have some exceeded commitment and and some, let's say, let's address exceeded commitment, first of all. What do we think could happen? Why do we think we could have more completed story, more than what we committed to? Is anybody happy to just maybe say one or two, or why this is possible? Yeah,
Yeah,
Abby.
can I just say
Yeah,
something? Yeah,
yes,
sorry,
please.
I'll just be brief. My
Yeah,
background is
that's
noisy.
fine.
Sometimes, most time, it's kind of has to do with when maybe we under what we on when we are doing our capacity, we underestimate kind of, and we have so much hard on deck, and we put in the the story points we put in the sprint is just not enough to go around the dev team. So that can cause over for our velocity to be, sorry, I want to rephrase it very well. That can kind of cause our commitment to kind of skyrocket, in the sense that maybe during the sprint, after we've committed to a number of story points, after that we went back to our bureau backlog to go and be taking stories, which is not something bad, but at the same time we have to assess. When it comes to that, we need to sit down with the team and try to increase our commitment a bit, not too much. We can just put in the little story per time. Let's see how we perform, and in the next sprint we can add it. That is how to
Mm,
balance it up.
okay, so Abby, if I get you correctly, what you are saying is it seems like there are more story being pulled from the product backlog into that sprint.
Yes, so that means we under committed.
Okay,
We have
so
enough hand on deck, but we under
yeah,
committed. So
okay,
people
so
went back to go
yeah,
and be getting story before end of the sprint.
okay,
Am I clear?
okay. Yeah, I get you correctly. So what Abby is telling us, which definitely is correct, is that we were able to, maybe let's say we were able to finish our work right on time, and we pull in more story from the product backlog into the sprint, which is, could be one of those reasons why we could have, this exceeded commitment. Basically, we committed, let's say for instance, we committed at the beginning of the sprint, we committed to 25 story points. But at the end of the sprint, we were able to deliver 32 story points. So somebody that wasn't part of your team, just look at the graph and says, what is going on? You guys committed to 20 and you guys were able to do 32. In some ways, it's a good report. But what could have happened within that sprint, that has made your completed work jump beyond your commitment work? And Habi has been able to say, one of the answer. David, do you want to contribute to that? or do we have any other people, person that would like to contribute to it?
Yeah, what I just wanted to say,
Yeah,
she's kind of said it in a way, because what I'm
yeah,
thinking, your first sprint, you don't fully know your capacity yet, what you could do, what the team
yeah,
could perform. So I think
yeah.
because of that, they might have under committed
Under
to the day
commit.
one committed. Yeah, so they might have under
Okay,
committed. So
okay.
that's my understanding
Um,
of it.
amazing point, because when we look at sprint one, let's say they are new team, it's a new project, and we are trying to, kind of find where we really belong in the scale of things. So we could say, well, this is how much we could do, but then we realize we could do far more. So yeah, makes sense. Do we have any other person that's likes to add before we move on? So basically
Yeah,
this is
I would like to
oh,
have this.
all right, please go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so
can I get your name?
yeah, I'm Vincent.
All right, Vincent,
Vincent.
thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to add to that is, yeah, probably maybe at the middle of sprints, we can actually maybe the subject matter expert, domain matter expert can actually say we have maybe we have stories that must go in, and when the team deliberate on it, they could see that, oh, we can actually handle this. That could be a reason to also introduce a story that can go in. Then they complete it, and it can actually make the sprint also go over the committed at initial place.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I like the way you are thinking, because, these are looking at the graph. It's supposed to be, a conversation starter. And that is definitely what we are doing here. Looking at it, what's going on. Oh, it's our first sprint. Maybe we are not getting ourselves. Yeah, maybe we don't even have a full understanding of the sprint goal, and when we have the subject matter expert, he or she was able to tell us, oh, this item in product backlog definitely fit into this sprint goal. And when we deliberate within ourselves, we feel, oh, we could add more to the work that we have, and we were able to pull it in. So definitely, yeah. So many things could be the reason, and I'm sure you guys have been able to address it. So this is how velocity chart looks like. And the reason why we are tracking all of this is to see where we really belong in the scale of things. How much work can we really take in? How much can we really do? And that is the essence of the data you are tracking. How much work? What's the capacity of my team? And that is what you are trying to look out for. You know, am I in, within 20 to 30? Can we do further? Can we, are we not overboarding our team? Is it just, so many things? So, but the essence of some of these things we are tracking is to, really see how to, especially in productivity metrics, how to be more productive, you know, in such a way that we are not also overboarding the team. So that is velocity chart. I'm going to move very quickly to, I think, burn down chart. So just looking at this diagram, is anybody happy to, tell us what is happening here? Maybe in 1 minute. Anybody? In a minute. This is burn down chart. So if you're
Sorry, I'm
happy.
using my phone. I can't see very well.
My name is Joy.
Hi, Joy.
Hi.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So the burn down chart is just to help you keep track of your schedule to know if you're meeting your targets. So like basically the tasks you've assigned to yourself, maybe for the day or for the sprint, whatever task you've assigned to yourself. So it helps you keep you in check. So if you're under, then it means like you haven't met, you have to be on the line to like hit your targets. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Yeah, thank you, Joy. I appreciate that contribution. Do we have any other person that is happy to tell us what is happening here? Please feel free to talk. Okay, so I would like us to think about this in a way that when we were in school, I don't know if a lot of people in this call, were as naughty as myself when I was in school. When we're in school, we could tear a sheet of paper, and sometimes we put lighter on it, or we burn it, or we start burning it from somewhere. Then you could see as the paper get burned from the bottom all the way to the top. So exactly that is exactly what is happening in here. For me, the way I see this is the paper you are having is basically your commitment for the sprint. That's like the work we are doing for the sprint. So how we were able to burn it from the beginning to the end until it becomes ashes, that is basically what our burn down chart is telling us. So it simply tells you how your team is being productive. The previous slide that I showed, we could see our numbers of committed story. We could see, at some sprint, we committed to 30, 27, thereabout, and how we're able to complete some of those committed story. But then this burn down chart address the sprint itself. It address the whole committed story. How the team is able to burn it down from 30 story point that we committed to till we're able to get to 0 by the end of the sprint. That is basically what our burn down chart is telling us. We commit at the beginning of the sprint, we committed to, let's look at this diagram for instance. Let's say we committed to 95, or let's say 92. Something definitely above 90. That was what we committed to. But how we were able to burn that from 90 as a team to 0 at the end of the day, and according to this diagram, by day 10, how we're able to do all this work from day 0 to day 1 till day 10. That is burn down chart. And if you are saying it the way I'm saying it, that is telling you how your team is productive within that sprint. So, and you could see the straight line is basically like an ideal diagram. I'm talking about the gray one, that came all the way, slopey all the way down. That's like the ideal diagram. The one that you have, the blue lines, that move zigzag, it's the actual work you are burning, and that is exactly how you are burning it. And we could say that by, let me say, day 2, we burn it up to 60 something, and at some point we were able to do ahead of at some point we're able to be ahead of our schedule, and at some point we're able to be behind our schedule. But one good thing about this diagram is by day 10 we're able to be at the same point our ideal diagram said we hope to be. So basically, this is how team were able to do the work and complete the work within the sprint or within the iteration. Do we have any question in here before I move forward?
I'm sorry, I just want to say from this diagram, I'm using my phone, so it's a bit difficult for me. But I can see from, if you look very well, from day 5, I think, no, day 3 to in between day 3 and day 5, we are not burning anything until day 5.
Oh,
between day 3 to 5, we are not burning anything. There's nothing released on 4. So we are burning on day 5.
Okay, so we did burn. So if you look at that diagram very well, So this is day 3. If you can see my console, this is day 3.
Yes.
And at day 3,
yes, we
this
bought
is where
something
we
at day
were.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at day 4, yeah,
Yeah.
this is where we were.
Yeah, it's not showing me anything burning, but I can see the 5 very well when we are burning on
Yeah,
K5.
so we were actually working. So if you look at day 3, you could estimate that we were beyond 60.
Yeah.
If you look at day 4, you can see we are below 60. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see. Yeah, I
If
can
you
see.
check
I
day
have to move
5,
my phone.
you could see we are also below the day 4.
4. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though when you look at day 5 and day 6, yeah, when you look at day 5 and day 6, we seem to be on the same spot. Because if you look at day 5 and day 6 versus
Yeah,
the
it's actually
numbers of
flat.
story, we is flat. So we seem to
It's
be on
flat
the
here.
same spot. But
Yeah.
by day 7, we were able to even burn more.
Rush it. We rush it
Yeah,
from 6 to 8. I can see.
exactly. So 8,
Yeah.
then we're able to burn all the way down to 10.
Till
So,
the last day. Yeah.
and when you look
Correct.
at this as a Scrum Master or as an Agile delivery lead, basically metrics is a conversation starter. So you tend to ask a lot of questions. Oh, it's just that we don't have so much time. I would have loved to say, oh, if you're looking at this as a Scrum Master or even as a stakeholder, what are the questions you feel you could be asking looking at this? You know, Adaize, you want to say something?
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
please.
Yeah.
I don't understand this chart at all. I'm just very confused. I don't know what the blue line is doing. Below, is it like it's better or above? I don't understand.
Okay.
So is it?
I'm gonna
Thank
explain
you.
to you. So
Okay,
when I
thanks.
started, I gave an instance of when we were younger. I don't know if you were as naughty as some of us when we used to play with paper and lighter. When we put fire on the paper and the way the paper burn till it become ashes. That is basically what you are looking at here. The paper you are looking at is the story point, is the story point that you could see on your, this is y-axis. Yeah, this is y-axis on your y-axis, and that range from 0 to 120. I'm sure you could see that from 0 to 120. So, and
Yes.
around there is our commitment for the sprint, which we could assume this is 92, for instance. So we committed to 92 story at the beginning of the sprint, which is day 0. At this time, we haven't done
Okay.
anything. That's day 0. We have 92
Did you
committed
say
story.
92?
So I'm just assuming,
How did you?
because
Okay, you're assuming. Okay, like rough
because
estimate. Okay.
this is between 90 to 120. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming this is 90, something 90, above 90. So for you could say it's 91, 92, 95, thereabout. So this is above 90. We're committed to above 90 in here by day 0. So this gray
Or
line
maybe
you are looking
100.
at, or you could say 100, yes. So
100. Yeah.
yes, this straight line you are looking at, this gray straight line all the way, that
Yeah.
is an ideal line that is telling you how to burn down your story. So this line is telling you by day 0, you are having 100 story points. By day 1, you should be having 90 story point left. By day 2, you should be having this number left. By day 3. So that gray line is giving you an ideal situation. When we started this meeting, I was asking people, what is your success? Like how do you measure your success? So this is like what is going to be measuring your success, the gray line, because you have to have something you want to compare with. So this is what you are trying to compare with. And that's that straight line, the slopey line all the way down. And this blue line you are looking at, that is zigzag. is the way the team are working. David, I'm going to take you. But let me just finish this thought. So the way our team are working from day 0 to day 1 to day 2, sometimes we fall on the ideal line, sometimes we are ahead of our schedule. And how are we ahead of our schedule? If you look at this part that says we are ahead of our schedule, which is day 2, ideally by day 2 we are supposed to be around there. Yeah, we are supposed to have something around, let's say, maybe 80 story point left. But luckily for us, by day 2, we are having something around 70 left. So, and that is why this guy is telling you you are ahead of your schedule. So, and we continue that way. Day 3, we were not able to do anything, looking like we were not able to do anything by day 3. And that's why we are still where we were on day 2. I'm talking about the blue line. Ada. Ada, if you can see my cursor, then that goes all the way to day 4, day 5. By your day 5 and your day 6, you seem to be on the same point. I'm comparing that with my y-axis now. This is your day 5, day 6. When you look at it, it's flat. You seem to be on the same spot. Yeah.
Okay.
So even though
Sorry,
yeah,
please. So
yeah.
if it's the blue line, if it's on the gray line, that means
If
the
the
team
blue
hasn't done
line,
anything.
You're on track.
no, if the blue line is
They are
straight
slow
on
or
the
something.
no, if the blue line is straight on the gray line, that means you are on track. I think somebody
Okay.
said that means you are perfectly on track.
Okay, where you should be.
Where you should be, the ideal.
Okay.
We said the ideal line. So
Yeah.
you fall on the ideal line, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. And that is why when you get to day 10, the final day, you could see we are on the same spot with the gray line. That means we had 0 story left for us to work on. That means we finish our work by this day 10, which is what your ideal line is telling you, that by day 10, no, you should have nothing left to be done. So, and if you check these guys, by day 10, their blue line is exactly where the gray line is. And that means they have nothing left, they want to do. I hope I'm able to, help. David, you want to say something?
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you.
just a quick question. Yeah. It's
Yes,
just,
please.
you said the gray line is the
Yeah.
ideal line. So I was just thinking,
Yeah.
who determines this ideal line? Or are you measuring
Okay.
it against something?
Okay. So when you are working on your ALM, you are telling your ALM, these are the metrics I want to track. So by the time you are telling your ALM, I want to track burn down charts, it's going to have that ideal line by default. The system is going to look at the story you've committed to and generate that ideal line by default.
Please, what's ALM?
Yeah.
We call it application life management. Application life management. What's it called? Application life management. Basically,
16, yeah?
your Jira, your Azure DevOps, your Rally, anything you are using to drive the project you are working on. That's what I mean by ALM, application lifecycle management.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, your Jira, your Azure DevOps, your Asana, any of these tools that we use, to help drive, the application we are working on. And I don't want to use Jira because it doesn't have to be Jira. It could be Azure DevOps. It could be Asana. It could be any of these applications that we use to, track our project. So I'm gonna move, forward very quickly if there are no more questions. David, is that hold hand or the new one? Okay, thank you.
It's a legacy
Just a
one.
quick legacy one. Just a quick
Okay.
one. You know when you've got the blue dipping backwards and not completely parallel to the gray line. And this is quite me owning up. This is quite embarrassing. I thought that would be behind schedule, but then it's the reverse that is the case. That seems to kind of throw me a little bit because I thought I could explain
That
bone down chat. I look at it and say, oh, I'm quite good with that, but I can see that I'm still learning on this one.
that's fine. The reason why it is ahead of schedule, I think I said it the other time. The reason why it is you are ahead of the schedule is if you look at this day 2, where my cursor is. Can you see my cursor, please?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if you look at this day 2 that says ahead of schedule, if you estimate the story left here, we could, let's say this is 60, the next one is 90, so we have 30 in between. Yeah, so let's say this is 70, this is 70, that means you have 70 story left. However, your ideal line, you are supposed to be around here. That means you're supposed to have like 80 story left.
Okay.
So but
I
you
get
are
it.
here, you have 70 story left. So the more you go down, the more you burn the story. So you have 70
Oh,
left. You are ahead of your schedule.
okay.
I love the way
Yeah,
you've succinctly made it so crystal clear.
yeah.
I don't think any
Yeah.
YouTube video has done. I've watched YouTube videos and
Yeah.
I'm struggling to even understand the accent before I can
Oh
understand
my
where they're coming
days.
from. But the way
That's
you've
that's
just
fine.
made it
Thank you.
look like you've got the deep. So, I mean, the way you've explained it, just like, when you're in primary school and your teacher's broken down the algebra to make it so easy. Thank you.
That's all right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks a lot. So I'm sure everybody
Sorry,
is clear
Okay.
Olawale,
because
can I just chip
yeah,
in something now?
So,
I would just want
okay.
to emphasize on in practice, right? You see the
yeah,
bundle charts, right? When
yeah,
the
please.
developer are working on some tickets and is it in code review, sometimes I know it's good to use it for performance, but at the same time, don't shy away to look into your sprint, to look into their work and see how they are moving their work accordingly. Some of them might just leave their work in code review and they've tested it and everything is done. Just for them to move, if it doesn't move from that code review to done, you're not going to burn anything and the job is done already.
Yeah,
So in practice, you just have to like
definitely.
make sure you are checking with your dev team that, oh, this has been in code review. Can you move it to done so we can burn up? You can show,
Thank you.
it can give you
Yeah,
accurate metrics.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. I mean, that's very important. And sometimes, these are experience you gain during the, why you are practicing, because it is possible. For instance, somebody have done the work, but they have not moved their work to done. And trust me, what we are looking on this graph is the work done, not the work that is progressing. When you are talking about burn down chart, is the work you are done, you are burning down. You are, I don't want to say done it. So basically, thank you for that, Habi. Ada is going to be the last person I'm going to take, before I move to
Okay.
the next slide.
Please, I want to understand why you have the different colors. Blue for actual, is it orange for effort and gray for remaining effort? Yeah, but
Okay.
you don't
So,
have you know,
so
the other color on the chart.
ignore my gray effort. Ignore,
Okay.
even ignore every key in here.
Okay.
Saying remaining efforts, just ignore every key in here.
Mhm.
What is most important here is what we've spoken about so far. The blue is supposed to be well, actual work you are working on. The gray is supposed to be like your ideal stuff you are burning down. Just ignore that
Okay.
orange color you get, and basically you are graphing between days and effort, more like story points. basically. So
Okay.
just ignore that key. Yeah.
All right. Thank
So
you.
I'm gonna go to the next slide, which is same on productivity. When you're looking at cycle time and lead time, they can be very confusing, but we also use them to see how productive we are as a team. And please, I would really appreciate if we can just pay a bit of a bit of attention, so that we can get this concept once and for all. Before Mr. Tolu reached out to me, or let me say, Mr. Tolu reached out to me for this session last month, June, 10th of June. Mr. Tolu reached out to me to say, "Oh, Wale, can you take metrics on so day?" And I agreed to say, "Well, that's fine. I'm going to take it." Then I started taking this by 8 o'clock. And let's say we are finishing this by 10:30. So in project management or in agile metrics, the time Mr. Tolu reached out to me, which was June 10th, that was when Mr. Tolu requested for me to deliver this session. And let's say by 9 o'clock today, we're able to finish the session. That is my lead time. The time they made the request to say, "Can you work on this project?" And I'm able to say, "Okay, this project goes into my product backlog." From the time I started working on it by 8 o'clock, that was when the work started. And I'm able to finish this session by 9 o'clock. That's when I complete this session. That is the cycle time. So if your customer, for instance, or your management says, "We are working on this project and this is what this product is addressing," and it goes into your product backlog, or you start work, you kind of put it in anywhere you put it, doesn't maybe anywhere you document the product you are working on, till the time you finish it. That's how to measure your lead time. But from the time your team starts working on it to the time you finish it, that's your cycle time. And this is very, personally speaking, this metrics is extremely important, because we use it to determine what our service level agreement could be with customers. Because if it's like the instance that I gave, if it took me 1 month, 7 days to deliver this, let me say, small product that Mr. Tolu handed over to me, it took me 1 month, 7 days. Imagine if Mr. Tolu gave me a bigger project to say, "I want you to deliver a training for everything that has to do with Agile." You can start making a guess to say, that might take me maybe 12 months, maybe 2 years. Because if I could do this work, this short work within 1 month, 7 days, then if I have something that is times 10 difficult, then it's going to take me times, you are trying to predict. So by that, you can use it to negotiate your service level agreement with your customer to say, "Well, I feel this product is going to take us this length of time to be able to do." And from the time you start working on it, which is when the work started, and you trust me, the work started from the time I joined this call, when we started this session, till 9 o'clock. So that is my cycle time. And basically what that means is, really, it took me just 1 hour to really work on the product that was given. From that long, it took me just 1 hour to turn it to finish good by 9 o'clock. So you can start questioning your team to say, "So why does the work sit in ABCD place for 1 month, so days when it could just took us 1 hour to complete the work. So cycle time is extremely important. It's very, very important, and because that gives you an idea of when you are really able to turn it to finished product. And your guess is as good as mine that then what was happening between when the work was requested really to when we started the work. Those are the questions that you could start asking yourself or asking your team. So that is the explanation on lead time and cycle time. I think Joy wants to ask something or contribute. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm asking, I'm not contributing. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
please
I
go ahead.
understand the explanation, but going by the diagram, there are no
Yeah.
numbers. So, how do you determine how much time you spent?
Well, in the ideal, I'm just using this to drive the conversation. In
Okay.
the ideal, you will have the date when the work was requested, and you will have the date when the work was completed.
Okay. Right.
So,
Thanks.
which was, what I was telling you, let's say a customer came to you, requested, let me cite a very practical scenario. You are selling a product, but you don't have the product at hand as at the time the customer requested for the product. Oh, please, I want to buy Gary. But as at that time, you don't have the Gary in stock. But you've taken the request in. From the time you're able to get the Gary and deliver the Gary to the customer, from that very first time the customer requested for the product till when you are able to deliver it is your lead time. From the time you are able to have the Gary and deliver it to your customer is your cycle time. So, any other question? And it's important for SLAs, basically. I will take that silence as a no, then we move very quickly. The the last one we're going to touch on productivity is cumulative flow diagram. I think Habi or someone has said something about this when we started this meeting. Basically, your cumulative flow diagram is how your work flow, on your board. How your work flow from the time you are starting the work or from the time you created the product, and it's a bit also related to lead time or cycle time, depending on how you want to say it. So from the time the work get into your product backlog till the time your work finish, how the work move from one point to the second point to the third point, how long it's spent in there, that's your cumulative flow diagram. That's what it's representing. Basically, if you look at the diagram that we have in here, you could see the work items or the user story that we've got. Let's say we've got 20, assumption we've got 25 story point. Then from 1st of June till let's say 1st of June, the work was still sitting in, let's say, your to do or your product backlog item. But from this 1st of June, yeah, till somewhere, let's say, end of June, basically, it's in design. People are working on it. Then when the design then move it to, let's say, coding, for the coding guy to start working on it, to start writing code, it took between 31st of June to 1st of July. Then just in 1st of July, the testing, so the coding guy then now move it same 1st of August, sorry, to testing. And 1st of August, the testers were able to work on it and they're able to move it to completed. So how your work transition from one column to the other, that is basically what your cumulative flow diagram is addressing. And of course, just what we've been discussing so far is also speaking to how productive your team is. And you could also use it to measure your bottleneck, see where the work is getting stuck, or where are we having the, bottleneck, where are we having the blockers, for instance, where are we having, so much impediment. You could see just looking at your flow, at your flow diagram, cumulative flow diagram, because if your guess is as good as mine, I could tell you for free that, oh, the testers are doing a great job, Of course, it doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, they're able to finish all the work in just one day, because even if you check it down, 1st of September, a bit of work is still being done all the way, till they are able to complete everything. That's 25 story points by 1st of January. But it kind of gives you an idea of where, our bottlenecks are in your process, basically. So that is cumulative flow diagram. I am going to try to rush up a bit. So this is productivity. Then we move to stability. Basically, stability of the team. You are trying to measure how stable your teams are. And I think Habi or somebody in this, call has also mentioned, team happiness, for instance. Sorry, that's one of my baby. So basically, you are trying to see how stable your teams are, and an happy team, trust me, can do, can do wonders for you. So there are quite a number of metrics that that will measure. And basically what you do is, oh, you have like a certain, it could even be questionnaire, it could even be a survey, and when we are talking about metrics, please, I want us to be clear. It doesn't have to be everything on your ALM, on your Jira, or on your Azure. No, it could be some personal metrics that you've written down to say, oh, I want to make sure that I really measure how my teams are doing, in terms of A, B, C, D. You want to measure that. And I want us to be flexible in our mind when we are thinking about metrics. We could be very creative with it. It doesn't have to be everything on your ALM. So, for instance, when you talk about team morale, you could say, oh, the highest number, for this is 7. So anybody that is maybe taking 7, maybe you have one, let's say you even give them papers to say, oh, are you happy with the team? What is going on? What can we improve? Is 0 is I'm angry, I'm not happy in this team. Why 7 is, oh, I'm very happy, I'm 100% satisfied. So if somebody is picking 7, you're having an idea that that fellow is really happy in the team. If somebody is picking 0, you are also having an idea that something is wrong. So basically, it helps you to measure, you know, the stability of your team, because an happy team definitely can do wonders. And we've got, team happiness or team morale, team turnover. That is how they're able to turn over the work items, into finished products, could also be used to measure team stability. But we could be, especially when it comes to stability as a metrics, we could really be very creative with it. So it's not a cast in stone. You can come up with all sorts of things that can help you to, really see how stable your teams are. So I'm going to move forward very quickly. If there's any question, please feel free to interject me.
Please, when you say stable, what do you mean by stable, please?
The stability of your team. The stability of your team is simply telling you if your team are, for instance, like the retention. If, for instance, a member of your team spend just a month or 2 months and they move out of that team, basically that's an unstable team. That's an unstable team. If, for instance, your team committed to 50 story points and they are able to deliver 50 the first sprint, the second sprint, they're able to deliver 10, the third sprint, they're able to deliver 0. That's an unstable team. So it is not a cast in stone. Stability is
because they didn't meet up.
Yeah, stability is quite flexible. It could be maybe in terms of, team retention. It could also mean, how productive they are, even as a team. If and
Okay.
to an extent, you could also use it to measure how mature your team is, because if your team are able to, if you could easily predict to say, oh, my team is, when they are very happy, they are very stable, they could do 50. When we have maybe somebody new in our team, we could struggle with 40 story point, thereabout. So you could have an idea of,
Consistency.
oh, yeah, consistency. Yeah, you could also use it,
Oh,
to measure the
consistency.
stability
Yeah.
of your team. So basically, that is that. Any other question before I move to the next one?
Thank you.
So, for predictability, basically, we are going to be talking about the average velocity. I think David mentioned something around average velocity the other time. My laptop. Sorry, hold on. So, I think David mentioned something around this, talking about the predictability of the team. And I think David mentioned average velocity. We spoke about velocity the other time, where we spoke about, from sprint 1 to maybe sprint 7. If you want to have an idea of what your average velocity of your team is basically, let me go back to that slide. Yeah, so this is the slide I'm talking about. So if in sprint 1 we're able to complete, just an assumption here, 32. Sprint 2, we're able to complete 25. Sprint 3, we're able to complete, let's say, 25 as well. For sprint 4, we're able to complete, let's say, 20. So we now want to determine what our average velocity is within this sprint. What we simply do is we'll sum all our completed work up and divide it by 4. So that is average velocity. We'll sum up all the completed work and divide it by 4. If we want to be a bit more rigid, maybe we don't want to, make any mistake, we could sum up all the work that we have completed and divide it by 7. So what you are simply trying to do with, predictability as a metric is you are trying to predict how much your team can really do. What is our actual capacity? What is our actual capacity? And it's quite straightforward. That is how you get what your average velocity, is about. Any question before I move forward? So the next one I would like to talk about is about quality. When we are talking about, product or project management, we are definitely delivering values. And we're not just delivering any values, we are delivering values with good quality. And I'm sure this should be something everybody can relate to. When we are talking about quality as a metrics, there are, many ways we could measure, metrics that has to do with quality. It could be customer satisfaction. In fact, that is even one of the major ways to measure, the quality of the product, because you are making them for customer. If you've done all the hard work, you feel your product is watertight, everything is intact, and your customer are not happy, they are not satisfied, it's as good as doing nothing. So one very good way to measure, quality of the product we are working on is customer satisfaction. And we could do that in numbers of ways. It could be feedback. Sometimes I'm sure many of us would have opened an app, or maybe after working on, on WhatsApp or any of these applications, they will tell you to leave feedback. So what they are trying to measure is to see, oh, what is, what is the quality of this product? Are people really happy with this product? If you rate it 4, you rate it 2, you rate it 1, and all of that, what you are simply telling them is, telling them the quality of the product or the quality of the service. If after this training I say, oh, please, or Mr. Tolu say, oh, please rate the trainers, and you guys rated is 0 or 1, that is also telling you the you are trying to measure the quality of this session at the end of the day. So basically, for quality as a metrics, there are numbers of them, and one of them is net promoter score. Another one is also customer satisfaction, defect density, feedback, anything you could ever think of. It is not a cast in stone, just like I've said. You can be very creative with it. So these are the ways we can also measure quality when it comes to our metrics. Any question? Because I think this brings us to the last slide. Thank you very much. I've really overrun. I would like to maybe take 1 or 2 questions because I'm supposed to be somewhere by now. So if I can have maybe 1 or 2 questions, then we could maybe call it a day.
My only question is, does this class hold regularly, and if so, when? Because first of all, thank you. I joined very late, but it's been very informative.
Well, I'm gonna leave that to Engineer Tolu because he invited me here
Okay.
for this session. By the way, I hold we have an organization that's trained for train people as an agilist basically. So if you maybe struggling, you want to get trained, and we really go in depth, and we also go practical when it has to do with agile. So we try as much as possible to do our best. So if you're happy and you want to maybe reach out to me, to be part of our training, yeah, please feel free. That's my email there, and you can always talk to Mr. Tolu.